Need more money, connections, associations, and what you would call a relaxed mind? Have you ever wondered why some folks are regarded as high flyers and successful people with results to show? You know the names. It's been found out that the difference between these high flyers and successful people is mindsets and how they think. Welcome to Baseline Beats with Benga. Here is this week's episode.
I heard this several years ago and it stuck. Listen to this. I was told that you'd have to pay for almost everything that involves purchase of sorts. If you walk into a mall, no matter how big or small, and you pick whatever you choose, the chances are very slim that you'll walk out the door if you don't exchange cash and money for the value you've gotten in terms of the items you got. You sometimes see items that are wares, you pick them, and you have to pay. Bottom line is this: there is virtually almost nothing you pick up that you don't get charged for. But there is something you don't get charged for: your thoughts. No matter how lofty they might seem, no one will say you must pay for them. Paulo Coelho de Souza, a Brazilian lyricist and novelist, said, "If you think small, your world will be small. If you think big, your world will be big." On that note, I welcome you to today's episode. I am your friend, Benga. Today's episode will major on something that should be considered major: thinking big. If what I said about not getting charged for thinking is anything to go by, how is it then that people don't want to think big? Well, let me not assume you do. How is it that you don't think big if you don't? What does it even mean to think big? Let me tell you the story of someone you might know. He was born in Canada in the 60s. His mother was sick, so he used to spend a lot of time with her, trying to make her laugh, trying to make her happy. Meanwhile, his father was working as an accountant, all in a bid to support the family. The father wanted to be a musician, but he had given up his dream and thought it was not practical. Well, everything was going fine until one day his father lost his job. Several times he tried to get a new job but was not able to find any. All he could do was motivate himself. Months passed by and they got homeless and lived in a van. The boy was only 15 then, so he started to work in a steel factory to support his family. His whole future was in front of him. He thought he will become a mill worker. But at that time, seeing his father struggle, he learned his life's most valuable lesson. His father had given up his dream, gone for a safer option, and well, wasn't successful. So the boy thought to himself, why not take a chance and do something different that I love doing? Even if I fail, at least I will be doing what I love. He realized he loves making people laugh, and he wants to do that for the rest of his life. He thought about a profession along that line. He'd become an actor and a stand-up comic. So when he turned 16, his father took him to his first stand-up performance. But that first performance was a big failure. No one laughed. He got disappointed and doubted himself. But he knew he was doing something he loved. He was just going to work harder. He kept getting better at this and was earning accolades and ovations as time went on. But he kept on to his dream. He was going to be an actor. Time then to breathe. Unstoppable by Cobhams is the song you'd listen to. Don't go nowhere.
I've been down the road where failure seemed familiar. No one thought that I would ever come this far. When everything was telling me that it was over, still there was a fire burning in my heart. There were days I felt like I was at my lowest. I pushed so hard I couldn't see beyond the pain. I never knew I made it high enough to notice getting closer, stronger than I've ever been. I believe that I'm unstoppable. I believe I've only just begun. I will conquer, I will fly, reach my peak, I will. And there's nothing that can ever bring me down. I am living proof that nothing is impossible. I beat the odds when hope was nowhere to be found. There was a strength that carried me through every obstacle. It lets me know that it's too late to give up now. And I am not afraid to climb another mountain, to risk it all, to face my deepest, darkest fear, to live a dream much bigger than I can imagine. 'Cause I want the world to know that I am here. I believe that I'm unstoppable. I believe I've only just begun. I will conquer, I will fly, reach my peak, I will. And there's nothing that can ever bring me down. I believe that dreams are untamable. And I believe that wings were made to fly. I'll touch the sky, reach for the stars, do the impossible. And there's nothing that can ever bring me down. I'm one dream away from everything I hope to be. I am one step closer to the finish line. I know that every stride will lead me to my destiny. And I'm one reach away from taking what is mine. I believe that I'm unstoppable. I believe I've only just begun. I will come.
Thanks for staying with me. Mention my name. Well, I am Binga. You'd find that a major stumbling block why people don't think big is fear, especially fear of failing. So they'd rather play it safe. Few things you need to realize when it comes to thinking big. Number 1, impossible is nothing, and it starts with your imagination. Everything you see today is a product of what existed first and foremost in the realm of thoughts. That means one thing: think it, and because you don't get charged for thinking, why not waste it? Think it lavishly. Think big. Don't let fear hinder you. Napoleon Hill said in one of his books, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And that's a wow moment right there. You see, you need to learn to realize that everything you have been able to see, from buildings to vehicles to monuments, every single thing you can think about, that is a physical thing. Some way, somehow, first and foremost exists in the realm of someone's imagination. And so it just means that the person also thought about how, let's bring this to life. And the person did not relent, but went ahead with it to ensure that what he or she thought about eventually was birthed and you have that monument, you have that vehicle, you have that building, you have that wonder to put it in perspective. And so you also have to factor yourself in this light and in this line, whereby anything is first and foremost from imagination. So think about it. Number 2, let's move on now. Expand your thinking through reading. A great way to think big is to read more. Reading is one of the easiest methods that can transform your thinking. Oprah Winfrey said about reading, "Books allowed me to see a world beyond the front porch of my grandmother's shotgun house." Crazy, but that's what reading does. Expand your mind, expand your horizon. You see, if I have to make a choice between seeing a movie or reading a book, I would rather go for seeing a movie. But then also think about this. You see, books explore all forms and all sorts in terms of your imagination getting stretched and expanded. And you realize that sometimes when you run a side-by-side parallel of movies and books seem to be more comprehensive than the movie version of the book. In fact, I'm not sure that you can write a book from a movie. If you do, you'll realize that what you have written is limited. But if you make a movie from a book, you'd realize that they hardly can ever be able to portray every single scene and every single thing in the book. And so it's very imperative and very important to read and ensure to cultivate that, so you have your mind exposed to a world that is limitless. Finally, associate with people who think big. You see, whatever level you find yourself, there is always a next level occupied by people. By choosing to network with these class of people who are doing much better than yourself, you are expanding your thinking. And this I find to be one of the easiest ways to expand your horizon, to think big and to think wild. People are at certain levels that you want to emulate, that you feel, I can be this, I can do that. Of course, don't forget, we already started from the fact that you need to expand your thinking. If you can think it, then it can happen. And so, but if you don't think it, I doubt it can happen for whatever reason. So, people are at whatever level whereby they've achieved whatever heights that they have, and you aspire to be at that level. Why not associate with them? Link up. In fact, you see, sometimes when you become really close with some of those who would challenge your thinking and they show that you think big, you mention certain amounts and they tell you that's the amount they've either used to enjoy a meal or just travel, and you're like, come on, you just wasted money. But then that is your mind getting challenged at that point in time, especially the levity with which they will say what they say, and you realize, okay, that's the point. You need to expand your mind. So association is one sure way to expand your mind and to ensure that you think big. Now let's conclude this. The boy whose story I shared earlier is that of Jim Carrey, a Canadian-American actor and comedian known for his energetic slapstick performances. You know, Jim later moved to America. When he moved, he still had few unsuccessful stints. Jim did something interesting later. He wrote himself a post-dated check for $10 million. Crazy, you'd say, but that's the point. Thinking big will sound crazy. In fact, he dated the check 5 years later and made a promise to himself to earn this money before that date. All of that is history. Jim has gone on to be worth more than 10 times this amount. And that's the power of thinking big. I love and appreciate feedbacks. Share them with me via social media on Twitter and Instagram at Ben_Olugbenga. But do this again another time. Think big and be good.
Baseline Beats with Benga is a wrap for this week. For questions, concerns, and feedback, reach him on Twitter and Instagram at Ben_Olugbenga. Until Baseline Beats with Benga comes away again next week, keep winning and enjoy the rest of the week.